Good morning, Mr. Beasley, Chairman of the School Board, Dr. Moulds, who is watching from off campus, Mr. Hadwin, Mr. Weigel, Mrs. Spark, teachers, parents and fellow students. Could you please be upstanding as you sing the first verse of our national anthem? Please be seated. It is with great pleasure that I invite Mr. Hadwin to address the Assembly.
Good morning, boys and girls. Mr. Beasley, Mr. Weigel, Dr. Moulds, my lovely wife is here today, and student leaders, parents and students. Welcome to our assembly, and can I say first of all how lovely it is to see our grade sixes in their formal uniform, looking very splendid today. They did have to wear it yesterday for their photographs, so I got a bit of a glimpse then, but it is great to see you so formally dressed today. This morning's assembly I'm going to talk a little bit about leadership. And it's an interesting term, and over many years of being involved in the school here and being involved in leadership, it's something I've pondered over many times. I've done courses in leadership. I've had courses at the school here about disciplines. I've had a school leadership program. I actually did a university course which was in dealing with educational leadership as well. But I was thinking about leadership a little bit more, and the more I thought about it, I thought, where do you get leadership from, really? Where does it actually start from? And it came to me that probably the most important part of your leadership journey starts with your mum and dad, because your mum and dad are the ones who are going to start paving the way for you, for your future. So I was reflecting upon my own parents growing up when they were younger, and I had many conversations with both my parents over the years. My mum only went to grade 7, hard to believe. Where she lived, that was when school finished. She actually did grade 7 the second year because there was no high school, and then the teacher invited her back to do grade 7 for a third year to help babysit the grade 1s who were there. She only lasted till Easter. Then she started doing some babysitting, and she ended up being a wonderful sewer, and she did a lot of jobs around that way. That was the era when mums stayed at home. Mum's job was to look after the kids, and she did a fantastic job of us around the kitchen, around the home, making sure that we were ready for school, making sure that everything was organised. She was responsible for all the food, she'd do all the shopping, and that's the way life was back many years ago. It certainly has changed a lot since then. But when I start thinking about leadership and what I've learned that I learned a lot from my dad. And my father, he left school at the end of grade 10. He was 15 years of age. And I started thinking of some words that describe leadership. And the first word I came up for my dad was, he must have been brave, because I can't imagine leaving school at 15 to start a job. Now, he was employed by a company called Elder Smith Goldsborough Mort, which was a stock and station agent, and he was employed in Brisbane, so it was a little bit lucky for him. And when he worked there, he was basically in charge of a little bit of selling of materials that farmers might like to come in and get. He'd occasionally go to the cattle sales and do those sort of things. And while he was there, there's another word that came up, was committed. And the word committed comes from the fact that while he was there, he decided that he would like to join the Mooloolaba Surf Club. He lived in Brisbane. one of his workers there said, well, come on down to the beach. It'll be great every weekend to do that. So he joined the Mooloolaba Surf Club at the age of 15, and he travelled down there every single weekend for the first year and a half that he was in Brisbane. And then he got transferred to Beaudesert, which is about an hour's drive out of Brisbane, not in the right direction to go to the Mooloolaba Surf Club, mind you, it's in the opposite direction. So he was still only very young, 16 and a half, and didn't have a licence. He said, but I still got involved in the Mooloolaba Surf Club every week. And I said, well, how did you do that? He said, I hitchhiked. Every morning, on a Saturday morning, I would walk out on the street, put my thumb out, I'd catch, someone would give me a lift to Brisbane, then someone would give me a lift to the Sunshine Coast, and I would arrive down there, I would stay down there for the weekend, and then I eventually got heavily involved in the Mooloolaba Surf Club. And he did that for 4 or 5 years, and while he was there, he managed to get himself a position in the boat crew. When the boat crew was the guys used to go out in those big boats, and they used to have boat races. And he ended up being part of the Mooloolaba Surf Club, where they won their first Queensland state title in the boat. And he was the guy who'd be at the front of the boat, and when it led on the beach, he'd jump out and run up the beach, and the first one across the line would win it. I thought, well, that's amazing. So if you ever go to the Mooloolaba Surf Club and you walk in there, you'll actually see a very large mural as you walk into the door. And it's a boat crew. And jumping out of the front of the boat is my dad. His nickname was Percy. His real name was Rod. But underneath there you see Percy Hadwin is the name there. So my dad was very committed towards that. He was willing to improve was my third point. And that's a very important point, because what he did when he was at Beaudesert, he got promoted to a large Elder Smith Gold's Promote in Toowoomba. He was still in charge of just going to the venues and the buying and the selling of cattle, taking a lot of the notes down, working out the cost of the cattle, organising transport, doing all those sort of things, still selling goods for all of the people from around Toowoomba. He was only there for a couple of years, and so by the age of 21, I came along as their first child, and obviously I don't remember much, but I do remember that we moved to a town called Theodore. So my dad at the age of 21 was shifted to Theodore to be only one of 2 people who were in charge of Elder Smith Gold's Promote out there. And it was during his 7 years that he had at Theodore, was my first 7 years of schooling. And he was willing to improve, because what he did a lot of was that he spent a lot of time catching up with all the farmers and all the graziers and meeting them and just trying to improve what he could do with buying and selling cattle. He must have done a very good job, because he told me after 3.5 years there he was promoted to be in charge of the franchise out at Theodore, in charge of the Elder Smith Gold's Promote Company. And that was because of all the sales that he had. He was very community-minded, and that's the next thing. He got involved in a lot of things. He was involved in the church, and I remember as a young child, I always had to go to church on a Sunday with Mum and Dad. Dad would also play tennis with the church group. He got involved in the golf club and used to go out there and play golf. He also used to call the rodeos. Every year Theodore had a large rodeo in the showgrounds there, and his job was to do all the calling of all of those events. And he also joined the Apex job. There was an Apex job, and there was an Apex organisation, and there was a Rotary organisation in Theodore. And I didn't realise, but Apex was for the young people, and Rotary was for the older people. So my father was under 35, so he ended up being heavily involved in the Apex Association. Just before he left, a couple of years before he left, he ended up getting president of the Apex Association out at Theodore. And if you ever go out there, his claim to fame was that while he was the president of the Theodore Apex Association, they built the swimming pool, which is still out there to this very day. So after 7 years there, and because of his great communication skills that he had, and he had a lot of communication skills because he had to grow the business out there to get promoted. I remember quite fondly, maybe not my mother so much, but Friday afternoon was very important to my father, because he would have to go to the Theodore Co-op, and those who know Theodore very well, they know that there's a hotel in town that is actually run by the community. All proceeds and all profits from the co-op go back into the Theodore community, and he used to meet there regularly on Friday afternoon with all the graziers, the farmers, anyone associated with, and he built a great rapport with all those people that were out there. Because of his ability to be able to communicate with these people and grow the business, he was then promoted to the head of elders back in Toowoomba, where he started out his career basically sort of working with cattle. And then I had to move from Theodore, and I moved to Toowoomba and grew up there as a young boy for about 3 or 4 years. And it was I think I arrived in grade 3, and while I was in grade 4, maybe 5, the elders Smith Goldsborough Moore decided that they would like to build a feedlot. They wanted to build the largest feedlot in Australia, and it had to have 25,000 head of cattle. And this was in 1972. But they needed someone to go and open and to build a feedlot. So my father's job, I'll pause for a second, I'm right. My father's job was to go and buy land. And what he had to do was to buy 4 properties and to build this feedlot, which he did. It was a great job. During that time there, he became very confident and very passionate. Because I think having to build a feedlot starting from scratch, with all the pens, we had 8 very large silos. We had to put bores down, we had to build a mill, we had to buy the land and do all of that. And for those first 5 or 6 years, as the cattle started to roll in, he was able to build up this particular organisation. The thing that I liked most about what he did there was that he was very loyal. What he did was that he found people in the community who he thought would be fantastic and gave them jobs. Now at Beef City, which is the name of the property, including the abattoir, there's about 1,200 people that are employed there. But at that particular time, with just the feedlot, he probably had about 250 to 300 people. And he worked at that feedlot for around about 16 years before he finally got promoted to go to Brisbane, where he was then in charge of all the feedlots in Australia owned by Elder Smith Goldsborough Mort, which were then elders. There was a company from America called Fat City that also had shares in it, in the original one. So it was a huge job that he took over. So he started out leaving school at 15, and he ended up running the largest feedlot in Australia just by a couple of things with his leadership. And they were, he was brave, he was committed, he was willing to improve, he was community-minded, he had good communication skills, he was confident, and he was loyal to his people. And they're the 8 leadership traits that I would like to think that I've probably tried to copy off him over my years here. Which brings me now to today. And this morning we've got 8 student leaders. And I was thinking, well, okay, my dad at the time, when he's now almost 80, that's a lot, but we're talking about 11 and 12-year-olds here. How do we, at our school here, select students to become student leaders when they have not had any experience at all that can grow you into becoming a very strong leader? Well, there are some things and some traits that you people have got, and you've got them from your parents. The first one is, you guys, and may I say all the children too, but what we're looking at for students here to become student leaders is they must be well-mannered. And to be able to do that, this starts from the home. Your parents would teach you the please and the thank yous, being courteous to other people, assisting other people. So having good manners is the first step in being a good leader. The second step is that you need to be organised. It's amazing when we go on Year 5 camps or Year 4 camps, you can walk into some rooms, as we call it, it's like a volcano's happened. Your bags, everything's been thrown out, it's all over the floor, you're looking for your toothbrush, you'll throw the soap one side, you'll throw the washer the other side, and yet people who become student leaders are organised. And why are they organised? It's because their parents have probably told them to clean up their room, pack their bag, put their clothes away, do their chores. So your parents are teaching you very good things already. The other thing that we notice about our student leaders is that they've been selected because they just see things around the school that need doing. They don't have to be asked. They just figure it out. And I was thinking that's exactly the same at home, because if your mums and dads ask you to feed the dogs, wash up, take the rubbish out and do those small jobs, they're teaching you leadership skills that you will follow up a little bit later on. You also have to have pride in your appearance. And so we're at school here and we're looking at our student leaders, and that's one of the expectations that we have with you. And your parents have started to teach you that at home. You have to brush your teeth. You have to comb your hair. You have to wash your hands. Don't put your feet on the lounge. Don't put your knees up at the dinner table while we're eating. They're all just things that your parents are teaching you as well. They're also teaching you how to communicate. It could be that you've gone to someone's place. It could be that you've caught up with someone. Or maybe it's just, and I would encourage everyone, you just sit at the dinner table at night and have a talk. You're not sitting in front of the TV set to eat your dinner. Mum and Dad have got you sitting up there eating your dinner so that you can have a conversation for maybe 10 or 15 minutes with them about what your day was like. And that's a really important thing. That will assist you later on when you do need to communicate. And have a listen to Ria today, standing up here giving her speech. She's learnt to do that, and I'm sure her mum and dad have taught her all of that too. And the last really good thing that we look at with our student leaders is that they keep friends. And how do they do that? It's because your parents have probably given you lots of opportunities to be involved in co-curricular activities with other people. They've probably taught you to be involved in some sporting events. They've probably even let you have sleepovers or afternoons with other people, and you probably go to functions with other people and you're expected to be able to play with your friends and not hang around with mum and dad the whole time. They're teaching you the whole time about communication. So there's two messages I have to conclude today, and the first message is anyone and everyone can be a leader, but it starts at home. And the second thing is, next time mum and dad ask you to put your clothes away, wash up, clean up, feed the dog, put the bin out, turn the TV off, come and sit at the table, they're just trying to make you a good leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hadwin. Could all Year 6 students please make their way to my left now, please? Today's formal assembly is to recognise leadership amongst our primary school. The Year 6 students have an important part to play in being a role model for the younger students. To acknowledge this, we shall all receive our badges that we will wear with pride. Could I please invite Mr. Milburn to the microphone to announce his class, followed by Mrs. Peckett, Mr. Rooks, and Mr. Saunders. I would also like to invite Mr. Hadwin, the head of primary, to present the Year 6s with their badge of office.
Thanks very much, Ria. Good morning, everyone. It is only just still morning. Today gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the students of 6N for 2021. Harley Aitchison. Ben Baines. Hayden Bell. Tyson Carlos. Ava Carolyn. Archie Clifford. Edward Kagola. Hannah Davis. Shriyaan Gidada. William Gowdy. Blake Kratz. Alex McDonald. Hayley McCamley. Sunula Mudlich. Marley Newell. Hayley Olive. Ruby Rowland. Ekimjot Singh. Olivia Tumman. Mitchell Tweed. And finally, Joshua Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the students of 6M for 2021.
Good morning, everyone. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you the class of 6P for 2021. Aaron Bell. Aaron is unfortunately absent today. Harrison Chan. Asher Clayton. Mila Cooper. Maverick Douglas. Lainey Dunn. Amelia Evans Barlow. Lara Farmer. Peyton Girdler. Aliana Hopgood. Snigdha Kaduri. Ty Lynch. Unfortunately, Ty Lynch is absent today. Ben McAllister. Lincoln Prophet. Leighton Steinhardt. Madeline Tazoutsius. Joshua Walsh. Sid Ward. Noah White. And Daisy Williamson. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please join me in welcoming 6P for 2021.
Good morning, everyone. It gives me great pleasure introducing the class of 6R for 2021. Lily Ed. Miles Bailey, who's unfortunately absent today, living around the court. Ria Chakrabarti. Sierra Cheviot. Magnus Connery. Miles Day. Sahana Deepak. Felicity Donovan. Kitty Filinadi. Sai Gautam. Mackenzie Huff is absent today, but give him a round of applause. Nate James. Luca Klopper. Kishan Kotian. Nash Mann. Mac Mazza. Ethan Mickelson, Eddie Newell, Ashton Rogers is absent today, but given round of applause. Hamish Rundle, Lavani Stewart, Sasha Thomas, and last but not least, Noah Bella. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 6R for 2021.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the class of 6S for 2021. Axel Allen, Ennis Brennan, Grace Francis, Jade Harmsworth, Emma Hilber, Kiva Habara, Lara Ho, Alexander Hugel, Cody Carrot, Jamal Lumens, Satenda Mugebe, Shaunak Nayak, Joshua Richmond, Gus Yabra Morera, Lachlan Snidrow, Mitchell Syson, Jake Trippett, and Vidith Wittersing. And in their absence, Evelyn Hallett and Charlie Scholes. Ladies and gentlemen, the beautiful class of 6S for 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Hadwin and the Year 6 teachers. The primary concert band rehearses each week under the guidance of Mrs. Richmond. This morning, they are going to present the highlights from the debut concert. Please make them welcome. Tomorrow, we will be conducting the annual whole school cross country at Rugby Park. I would like to wish all athletes well, and I know Mr. Hadwin would love to present the winning shield to Wheatcroft. And as I am in Wheatcroft, I hope that happens as well. Could I invite Mrs. Spark to come forward and announce the sporting house captains and Mrs. McInerney to present them with their badges?
Thanks, Mrs. McInerney. Thanks, Ria. I'm sure they'll be all very excited for the cross country tomorrow for their first big event of responsibility. So I'd like to introduce our sporting house captains for 2021. Our Jardine sports house captains are Sahana Deepak and Jamal Lumans. Guys. Our Pello Sports House captains, Ruby Rowland and Benjamin McAllister. Our Wheatley House captains, Tatenda Mugabe and Leighton Steinhardt. And last today, Mr. Hadwin, but not least, Wheatcroft House captains, Hayley Olive and Mitchell Tweed. Thanks, Mrs. McInerney, and congratulations to all and all the best for your sporting endeavours.
Thank you, Mrs. Spark and Mrs. McInerney, and the house captains. On February the 26th and 27th, the primary school presented the fabulous musical Mary Poppins at the Pilbeam Theatre. Mr. Robertson and many staff worked tirelessly for over a year to finally put this musical on stage for people to see. It did not disappoint. This morning, Jade Harmsworth and Magnus Connell will present the song The Perfect Nanny. Please welcome them to the stage.
If you want this choice position, have a cheery disposition, rosy cheeks, no warts, that's part I put in. Play games, all sorts, you must be kind, you must be witty, very sweet and fairly pretty. Take us on outings, give us treats, sing songs, bring sweets. We won't hide your spectacles so you can't see. Put toads in your bed or pepper in your tea.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person today. I'm currently isolating at home, awaiting the results of a COVID test as I was in Brisbane on the 22nd of March. You've heard me talk about the school and how it is many things, how it is not the bricks and mortar, not the steel and glass, not the tables and chairs, but the people, all of the people, from the smallest preppy to the tallest Year 12. Each and every staff member, parents and past students. People are who and what make RGS great. One of those people, a very special person, is Mr. Jeff Hadwin. Sadly today, we say goodbye and farewell this pillar of the Rockhampton Grammar School community. Mr. Hadwin, as head of primary, and in 2016 for 6 months as acting deputy headmaster, has shaped, guided and played a major role in transforming your school and by extension you for over 18 years. Mr. Hadwin has helped lead the development of the school. He's managed the primary school, planned all aspects of its operations, worked tirelessly to ensure that RGS has amongst the best resources available to you, so you are presented with opportunities to learn, grow and experience things that few other Central Queensland school students experience, and most importantly, has greeted and worked with you all, staff and students alike, on a deeply personal level. Mr. Hadwin is a fixture at school events, passionately supporting, connecting with students and parents, and showing the values of the Rockhampton Grammar School. His contribution to sport at RGS and in Central Queensland cannot be understated. He's not only an RGS staff member though, he's also an RGS parent. To him, RGS is much more than a school, it is an extension of his home. Mr. Hadwin lives and breathes grammar. And really, more than anything else, he does everything possible to make sure that you, all of you, grow in character and scholarship every day. Mr. Hadwin simply makes and has made RGS better, even though there is nothing simple about what he does or how he works. I think there are good lessons to learn from him, as he spoke about before, about loyalty, about hard work, and about compassion. 3 characteristics which help to define good leaders and which defines him as a person. A small speech such as this cannot capture or adequately reflect on Mr. Hadwin's 18 plus years of service to the school, but I want you to know and remember Mr. Hadwin as a champion of RGS and a champion of you, students and staff. He stands for grammar and the right. If you would stand please and acknowledge Mr. Hadwin with the school song, and then please stay standing afterwards. Mr. Hadwin, we are proud of your endeavours here and ask that God may be your protector in your future endeavours. As a part of his plans and retirement, Mr. Hadwin hopes to go travelling. One of the places he might like to visit is Ireland. Ireland has an honourable and faithful tradition of exporting its countrymen and women to far-off lands to teach and care for others. So it's most appropriate, I think, to close this address with a Celtic blessing for Mr. Hadwin. May you be blessed with the strength of heaven, the light of the sun and the radiance of the moon, the splendour of fire, the speed of lightning, the depth of the sea, the swiftness of wind, the stability of earth and the firmness of rock. Mr. Hadwin, Please accept this gift on behalf of the staff and students of the Rockhampton Grammar School. Thank you.
Please sit down. Thank you, Dr. Moles. I know you're watching. Very much appreciated. That was not part of the script today. I had no idea that was occurring, but I do very much appreciate it. We'll continue on with our formal assembly. I know this afternoon I've got a very big afternoon with the students and teachers commencing at 2 o'clock here, so that will be another chance to farewell the students in particular. Thanks, Ria.
Thank you, Dr. Moles. 4 weeks ago, 16 students from Year 6 presented speeches to the students in Years 4, 5 and 6. At the conclusion of these speeches, the students then voted for the 2021 student leaders. Could I invite Mr. Hadwin back to the stage to announce these leaders, and also invite the Deputy Headmaster, Mr. Weigel, to present them with their badges.
Student leaders for 2021. Congratulations to Tyson Carlos. Ria Chakravarthi. Archie Clifford. Grace Francis. Jade Harmsworth, well done on a very quick challenge. Hayley McCamley. Eddie Newell. And Vidith Wedasingi. Please join with me once again in congratulating our Year 6 2021 student leaders.
Thank you, Mr. Hadwin and Mr. Weigel. Thank you for your attendance today. Parents are most welcome to attend a morning tea in the covered area outside the Beasley Centre in primary. Elected student leaders and sporting house captains are also invited if your parents are here. Students can make their ways to the classroom when teachers are ready. Year 5 and 6 students, could you remain to assist in stacking all the chairs? Thank you.